everyone. Thanks for coming out. Oh, wow. I didn't even start yet, okay? All right, so I only have 30 minutes and a lot to cover, so buckle up, all right? We're going to cruise through these slides, and I love questions, but please hold them until later. Come to me, ask any questions you have. Oh, I gotta turn this on. There we go. Yay. Okay, so that's me. I'm a senior application developer at Penn Medicine with a passion for open source and tech for good. And when I see people come up and talk, I always wonder, like, why should I listen to them? So this is why you should listen to me. Early on in my career, I recognized that community would be a vital role in me thriving in this career. So I've done my best to create community around me and play my part. And organizations that I've been involved in are Free Code Camp, Ruby for Good, self-taught software developers, Virtual Coffee, and Women Who Code. Like I said, I work at Penn Medicine. I've been there for 4 years. It's actually my first full-time developer role. In that time, I've been promoted to senior level, and I also am now Scrum leader for our department's infrastructure team. My primary team is comprised of 3 developers, including myself, and we maintain 32 applications. I just looked it up last night, but we got that down from 48 applications, which is when I started, by sunsetting and replacing a lot of things. So needless to say, I've come across a lot of strange legacy code and snafus and things that made my mind boggle. So let's get into it. What is an enum? I couldn't find an official definition, so I made one up. Enum is a special attribute that maps to an integer value in the table in the database. If any of you have suggestions on how to improve this, let me know. I welcome them. All right, so defining an enum attribute in the model. There are 2 ways to define an enum attribute. We can, oops, whoa, that didn't go the way I thought. Okay, we can do it explicitly using a hash of key value pairs, or implicitly using an array of symbols. That's where our Rails magic gets sprinkled in. With the implicit definition, it's important not to change the order of the enum attribute values, because if you do, the database just like, it explodes. I learned that the hard way. And defining the enum attribute in a migration, you just run the command to generate a new migration. This corresponds with the model that we just saw, and it creates a migration file to add the enum attribute to the table as an integer. You can add it as a string. I'm just using integers in my examples here. Something very important to remember, you have to define the enum attribute in the model before you create the migration in the database. So here's some examples of good times to use enums. For a blog post publication status, a post status could be in draft, published, or unpublished. You can set a default to draft. or consecutive steps in a workflow, like a job application could be in progress, then submitted, then in review and approved. I didn't add rejected. I guess I'm optimistic here. So these, you'll notice they're mutually exclusive values here. Sometimes when you might want to think twice, when it's not a mutually exclusive trait, we don't use Schrodinger's cats with enums, okay? Like a user's roles, they can be mutually exclusive, but they aren't always. Sometimes a user could have multiple roles. Or if you're looking to create something a little more robust, like a type of something, maybe like a species of a pet. Usually if you have a pet class and a species, you're going to want to add more on to the species. So making like a new class called species, or even like single table inheritance would be a better way to go. It just really comes down to the complexity of the design of your app. So enums can be kind of boring. They're like any other Rails attribute. You can hard code the value. So here we're setting the meeting.location to nil. Then when we query meeting.location.nil with the Boolean, we get true. And then meeting.location returns true. Setting meeting.location to 0 and meeting.location to the string in_person, they're both equivalent. And then when we query meeting.location, it returns the string in_person. But they can also contain magic. So enums come with Boolean and dangerous methods. Boolean methods, they end with a question mark and return either true or false. Dangerous end with the bang operator, and they return the modified object. So we have the meeting model and our enum location attribute example. These first two lines are equivalent. Setting meeting.update and passing it a location of 1, or meeting.remote with the bang operator, that's the same thing. And then when we call meeting.remote with the question mark, it returns true. Meeting.location will return remote. Meeting.hybrid with the question mark returns false. But if we put meeting.hybrid with the bang operator, that's now switching the value. So when we call meeting.hybrid with the question mark, it returns true. These can be turned off by passing instance methods false to that enum definition in the model. But you're getting them for free. Why would you do that, you know? So prefixes and suffixes, you can also enable them. We have here a car model and enum attribute color with the values road rage red, electric avenue blue, and gas guzzler green. And the enum value fuel option with gas, electric, and hybrid. Now you'll see the color attribute has prefix true. The fuel option attribute has suffix the string powered. So now in our Rails console, we're using a new instance of car and the dangerous method from before. So because we use prefix true, it's prefixing the name of the enum attribute color. Color gas guzzler green with the bang. And now when we query car.color, we get back gas guzzler green. For using a suffix, we're setting car.fuel option to 1 And if we query car.gas_powered, because we passed the string powered as a suffix, it's returning false because 1 here maps to electric. So when we query car.electric powered, it returns true. And now our scopes. So these are class methods that return a collection of instance objects. And we're back to our meeting model with the location attribute. If we type meeting.locations, it's going to return all the values and like just the map of the values. And this is, I think it's really cool. If you query meeting.inperson, it returns all the in-person meetings. But if you query meeting.notinperson, it returns all the remote and hybrid meetings. So all instances that are not in-person meetings. And then that's the same with remote and not remote and hybrid and not hybrid. So again, you could pass scopes false to the enum definition, but why would you want to, you know? Okay, so every magician has their secrets, you know, their sleight of hand, their tricks of the trade, and some like reveal a little bit along the way, but the masters, they take it to the grave. But us, we're not magicians. Our family members may think we are after we fix their printer for the 4th time. But we're Rubyists, and luckily for us, the magic of Rails is out there just waiting for us to discover it. So I'm going to show you how. Read the documentation. All right, let's do it. So when I was learning about enums, you guys know this website? You seen it before? Okay, cool. I'm glad some of you are familiar. I just typed in enum and okay, cool. There's like a whole module. Nice, okay. Boolean dangerous method scopes. Yeah, we just talked about this stuff. We know all this. Cool. Okay. How does it work? Okay, the definition. Here's, okay. The source, let's see. Oh. Okay. There it is. Thanks for coming to my talk. Just kidding. Okay. Let's take a look at the source code. This is where the good stuff is. Before we really dive into it, first off, is this big enough for everyone to see? Do I need to zoom in a little? Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit more. I want to point out before I zoom in, because it's going to collapse, on the left-hand side, there's a file tree. GitHub gives you awesome exploration tools, including this file tree. On the right, it gives you symbol definitions here. So enum is selected and it points out, hey, here's the definition and all the places in this file where it's shown. And if you type \, it pulls up the search, and it has different scopes for searching. And also you can click here and it'll take you to a page that guides you on syntax search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. It's super handy. Okay. I need to make a little room up here for my notes. Okay, now we're gonna zoom in. Whee. More? Yes? No? Yeah? Okay. So here's that underwhelming definition we saw in the API docs, which is why sometimes we need to go to the source. When I look at line 219, I see this underscore enum. That is a convention that's used to mark, hey, this is a private method. So that tells me to go down to the keyword private and look for this method. And whoa, what do you know? It's here. We're going to get rid of you too, so we can, woof, okay. Look at this beaut. Name, values, prefix nil, suffix nil, scopes true, instant methods true, validate false, and options. That's a lot. That's a lot more information than we had on the other screen, right? So these are all the defaults passed here. We're going to walk through this. Line 224, we're assigning this assert valid enum definition values to values. This is just checking, hey, it's either a hash or an array. Is this a valid hash or array? Cool. And then returning back the values. The assert valid enum options, this line is just checking to see if there's any conflicts with methods that already exist, naming conflicts. This line 228, enum values variable. They're creating a new hash using hash with indifferent access. So this allows this hash to create keys as either a string or a symbol. It's indifferent. It doesn't care. And then line 229 is saving the name of the enum as a string. We're going to just kind of skip past this stuff because what I want to get to show you all is 252. We have valid method names, empty array. It's just waiting for things. Now this enum methods module, oh look, it's another underscore. I wonder what that could mean. I think you guys know, right? I just said it. And then on 254, now we're getting into the guts. We're getting into the good stuff, right? So we have, prefix, if prefix, and then there's this, it's this block with a ternary inside it. It's a little confusing. We'll go through it. So there, remember, you can see up here the actual definitions following us still. Right now, prefix is nil. But like in our previous example with the awesome car colors, we had set it to true. So let's assume it's getting that. So if prefix is true here, it's no longer nil, it's going to activate line 255, and then it's going to assess, okay, prefix equals true, and then the first here is if that evaluates truthy, after the colon if it evaluates falsy. So we're going with this one. Yes, it does hard equal true. So now it gets the name of the actual enum value, which in the earlier example was color. So everything is, all the enum values are prefixed with color underscore. So that same example earlier, we had fuel options, and for the suffix, we passed it powered. So if suffix does exist, it is no longer nil. We're passing it a value. And now we're evaluating, does suffix equal true? No, it does not. It is a truthy thing, but it doesn't hard equal the value true. So now it's taking the thing that was passed to suffix and tacking it on to the end of the enum attribute values. That's how we get the gas underscore powered and electric underscore powered. You with me so far? I know, it's a little, but. So line 262, yo, I'm about to tell you a magician's secret right now, okay? Get ready for this. And who is the magician behind this? I don't know. I should get blame this to find out who wrote it. So pairs, we got a new variable here. We have values dot respond to, and then this each pair symbol. Again, this is a ternary operation. So if this is truthy, we call this. If it's false, we call that. So each pair is a method that is called on a hash. So we're saying, does this respond to a method for hashes? If it does, cool, we're going to call each pair. If it doesn't, that must mean it's an array. So we're going to call each with index, and we're creating a hash out of this. That's how the implicit definition becomes a hash. It's assigning indexes as those pairs to the values. It's freaking cool, right? Yeah? Okay. So for each pair, we're going to do the label and the value. And then here we are with the enum values again. That was our hash with indifferent access, right? We're just populating this hash to build it, and then combining it all together. We're saying, let's take the prefix, the label, the suffix, add it to value name, and we're pushing it into that value method names array that we created up here. Then we're sending this all into this define enum methods method, which we will visit very shortly. Now we're saying, hey, method-friendly label, this is sanitizing the label in case there's any weird characters, emojis. You know how kids like their emojis these days, right? And then it's doing the same on line 272. It's doing the same operation as line 267, except using that method-friendly label. And then in this block here on 274, let me close this, it's saying if the method value alias and method value name are not equivalent, and that array of method value names does not include that method value alias, then push that up in there and again run define enum methods on it. Okay, I promised. Oh no, don't go to sleep. Wake up, please. I promised that I'm not talking to any of you in particular, but if you are sleeping, wake up. So I promise we go back here, this extra private method, because it's private inside of private. What? So let's see what happens here. Okay, this is a definition. Enum methods dot new. This is a thing. This is a thing. Look. It's a class, enum methods class inside enum module. Okay. Okay. All right. So that happened in there. And oh, hey, look. Hey, we know this. We just saw this. And this is where our instance methods and our scopes come from. Look at that. So all that sanitization and prefixing and suffixing, that was passed through into here. And now this is where the instance methods and scopes are created. And I love this part of the code because it has these comments and you can see exactly what's happening. You already saw the magical, sugary, railsy stuff, and now you see it's just for the scope, they're just calling where the attribute, enum attribute, finds this value. That's an active record call. Where not. So it's doing those things under the hood. It's just making these convenience methods for us. Isn't enum so kind? They just want to help, you know? Yeah, and it's just built right in, right? So this just fascinated me. I wanted to know all about it. So these are slides I made in case I talked too long and didn't get in there, but hey. This is the question I wanted to answer. Is Rails really magical? Totally, yeah, yes, it is. Tell me I'm wrong. But we can find the secrets to the magic in the code base, and that's what I love about it. I am posting these slides later today. I've scheduled out a post, so you will have access to all of them. It's on the RBQ 2026 channel in that Ruby community Slack. And thank you, everybody, for making my first speaking engagement rock. So.